Well, hi here, and we are back in, gosh, what is this game called? Oh no. One moment. One moment, please. I forgot the name of the game. Our Life, Beginnings and Always. It's been a long day, guys. Anyway, last time, we finished off the, episode, or the step where we finally told Cove about the money situation, and Mr. Holden did an unforgivable crime against money. And also Cove ran away, but that was a different thing. So anyway, this is the aftermath of the running away. Let's get back into it. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It almost felt like it was a dream. But it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down, and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were none too pleased that you went out to find Cove on your own, even if you had turned back in the end. As punishment, your moms took away your TV privileges for the next few days. Lizzie was annoyed that she couldn't watch her shows with you around, but she adjusted. Whenever you expressed disappointment, your moms reminded you that they weren't punishing you for no reason. It was dangerous to go out on your own so late, and without telling anyone. You could have gotten hurt, or worse. Very true. Do not, if you are a child, wander away from home without communicating with anyone where you are going, or who you're going to be with. That is incredibly dangerous. There are very bad people in this world who would just love to find a child without an adult. As upset as you were, you understood. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what had happened, too. You didn't know what was said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard before, self-flagellation. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. Okay, so I wasn't actually that far from the end. I just gave up, like the quitter I am. My voice is dying, and I don't know what to do about it because I already have tea, so let's just hope for the best. Fireflies.
Alright!
Oh, alright, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. Heck yeah. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky. Tonight was particularly balmy. You knew there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, you are you? You started eating faster. A grin curved your lips as you started to eat a bit faster, excited for what was to come. It seemed like you were too excited, however, as you started to choke and cough on your food from shoveling it down so quickly. Oops. Mommy reached over to pat you on the back, firmly helping to dislodge the noodles and enable you to breathe again. You took a big gulp of water from your glass, giving your moms a sheepish look. Oops. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Adams? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly, his face lighting up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know she'd be late. You didn't hear why. Probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she'd get your moms to agree.
Well,
Well, it's already dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let them go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually sighed and nodded back. Yes! Along with Lizzie's cheers, you threw your arms up in triumph, but waited until you'd finished chewing to say anything because you knew it was rude to talk with your mouth full. Good. Fine. Just make sure you stay up on the hill behind our house with all the poppies, okay? Duh, Mom. That's where most of them are. The idea had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. All too quickly, it became a race to see who could finish their food first. No choking at the dinner table now. That's right, if someone died, we'd have to cancel the Firefly trip after all. What's a little thing like death by strangulation to put a damper on the Firefly trip, right? Mom said it like a joke, but you knew that they were both telling you kids to slow down. Shiloh did immediately. When you glanced at Lizzie, you saw her still eating faster than she should. Elizabeth?
Jeez.
No one is gonna die. Sheesh. A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I'll get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. Huh? You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Hi.
Good evening, Cove. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Why is Cove here? Is something wrong? He didn't give you any clear acknowledgement, his eyes firmly fixed on the ground in front of him. You shrugged, going back to shoveling a forkful of macaroni into your mouth. Then for a few seconds, Cove said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. Dad told me to drop this off, 'cause I guess he borrowed it from you. Cove took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket, eyes now dropping to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Cove shrugged, and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know you got here all right. Cove shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him.
Hi.
Hi, Cove. Shiloh gave Cove a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Cove nodded in response. I think there's a few too many people around for Xander to be super comfortable with speaking. So, you weren't sure what to say now. Is Cove coming with us to catch Fireflies too? If he stays, I guess. Lizzie didn't exactly look thrilled by the idea, and you wondered if she felt threatened that someone might catch more bugs than her. Or maybe she didn't like his company.
Okay.
I want to see them. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The Fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must not have been anywhere he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Cove stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Your phone call with Cove's dad must have ended because your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Cove, your dad said you could stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie he was nearly stepping on her heels. Cove hesitated at the door. You smiled lightly at Cove, gesturing for him to follow. After a moment, he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching their figures get farther and farther away.
Hurry up!
You're so slow, Xander. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Cove still walking at a relaxed pace. You walked with him. You wanted to catch up to Lizzie and Shiloh, but it would be rude to just leave Cove alone when you were supposed to be hanging out with him. The two of you followed after the footsteps Lizzie and Shiloh left behind until you reached the hill behind your house. Lizzie had already climbed to the top. Shiloh was spinning in circles somewhere around the middle. Upon seeing the gently glowing, winking lights, you moved a bit faster, eyes widening in delight.
Wow.
Shiloh took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys, it's really great out, huh? See how many there are. Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Cove's sea-green head. You and Shiloh couldn't help but giggle. Covering your mouth with a hand, the sound escaped you, and Cove looked at you in confusion. What? He gestured to his head, and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Cove jumped, then followed after the glow.
Oh,
Oh, look, Lizzie has one. That's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his hat or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. You were good at not getting cuts or scratches, so you weren't too worried about that. Spotting one close by, you approached it with an assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem like less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down at your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cove kept up with his own target, but when he tried to grab it, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his effort to clasp his hands around the firefly. Cove watched it vanish into the thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. You told him about the firefly you had. Cove, here's one. Do you want to look at it? Cove didn't notice you. He was more preoccupied with continuing the hunt, hopefully without his cast getting in the way this time. That was fine. You had your own plans. You decided to sit in the grass and watch. You quietly took a seat among the flowers. The others were jumping and dashing all about. You saw how many times they succeeded and failed, how Shiloh almost tripped a couple of times. It was a dramatic show, though around you it was calm. The lights of the stars and fireflies surrounded you peacefully. It was a beautiful night. You laughed quietly to yourself as you watched the others, and Shiloh finally managed to catch a firefly between his small hands. His eyes lit up, and when he spread his fingers to take a peek at it, the bug escaped and flew off into the air. Oh! You watched as he pounced after it once more, but your eyes soon landed on Cove, who had failed to catch a firefly yet. You waited to see what happened. You watched as he crept up on an unsuspecting bug, so slowly that for a moment you wondered if he was still moving at all. Then he raised his hands towards one of the little bobbing balls of light, closing in on it ever so slowly.
no way.
Aw. The crafty little critter had escaped his clutches at the last moment, drifting too high up for Cove to reach. While Cove returned to hunting fireflies, you settled for laying back against the soft grass, watching the poppies swaying around you and the fireflies hovering against the vast sky.
Come on!
Xander, Cove, get up here. We're gonna have a race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning to you with quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you knew there wasn't much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye, you saw Cove was coming as well. You didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi.
Cove.
Hi. Cove, you can't roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again. You'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Cove froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time it got away tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important. Got it?
I guess.
Aww. The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have just been looking for a reason to make someone else the referee, but it was already decided. You got into position for the race. Satisfied with this, Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Cove stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point. It seemed like he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. Countdown! You quickly got into position as well, resting on your side in the grass and tucking your arms close to your chest. 3, 2, 1, go! The three of you took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom. You squeezed your eyes shut, a delighted laugh leaving you, and consequently allowing a few blades of grass into your mouth. Whoops! You sputtered, reaching up to wipe them away. It threw off your balance and sent you careening sideways. Oh no! Oof! Ack! Everyone started too close together because of the slight turn. Everyone started too close together because the slight turn made you, then Shiloh, and then Lizzie collide into a heap. You tumbled down the last few feet in a pile. Shiloh's elbow was in your stomach, and you were pretty sure Lizzie's hair was in your mouth, but you had survived. Perhaps it wouldn't have been safe for Cove after all. Probably not. You could hear him laughing in the distance. When you opened your eyes, you saw the starry sky above, and Cove still on top of the hill, staring down at the three of you with an amused look on his face. Hey, cool crash. I think Shiloh was the first one at the bottom. That didn't count. We need a redo. Kids, it's time to come in. No. You sighed, not knowing if it was from contentment or exasperation. Closed your eyes again. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together, side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening, with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You all knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter as much anyway. All that mattered was that you had all had a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. That's cute. That one was really short. That one was cute. I like that. Alright, sleepover, and then we'll be done with this summer. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Alright, kids, we're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if it had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. I fully misinterpreted that opening line. Fully. Anyway, Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood in the process of putting down cutlery. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots in the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, and crossing her legs and standing up, she stretched her arms above her head. Finally, I'm ready to eat. Then she cast a sly glance in your direction. You recognize that look. The last one to the table is a rotten egg. I haven't. But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted toward the kitchen. You tried to catch up to her. It wasn't a very fair race, you knew that, but you were ready to join in anyway. You stood up from the floor as quickly as you dared, then ran after her. Though there wasn't really time to close the gap. It was a short distance to the kitchen table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping a hand over the wood. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump into her. With an exasperated sigh, she resumed her work. I win again. Because you cheated. I didn't cheat. You ran before me. Yeah, because that's how racing works. The one who starts first wins first. That isn't true. That sounds like something a rotten egg would say. Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder. Cove, you can be the tiebreaker. Was that a real race that I totally won? You blinked. You'd almost forgotten about him. No! The fact that Cove preferred to keep to himself didn't help matters either. You spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, the arm with the cast resting in his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him still here so late. Tonight, Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your moms and his dad had planned it a few days ago. You hadn't expected it when your moms told you, but she didn't mind Cove sleeping over. It was just for one night. Even if he's not really your friend, he isn't the worst person in the world. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but he didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her. Not that Lizzie would make it easy. This wasn't the first time she had asked him to be a referee for one of her student races.
Come on!
Well, did I win or what? Cove still didn't respond. He turned away, refusing to weigh in. The only way to win the game is not to play. Lizzie glowered, but it had no effect. She crossed her arms and turned back to you. There you go. I won. You didn't say anything. So that means it should be up to the oldest instead. You're still a rotten egg. That's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each a farm fresh. You're each farm fresh. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say.
All right.
Now listen to Mom and come sit at the table for dinner. All three of you. You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the edge of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you when Mom turned her back. Your parents brought the last of the food, then they took seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you and Lizzie. Only Cove was left out. He had stood up from his spot on the floor, but he hadn't made a move towards the kitchen. Cove, you can sit too. Slowly he eyed the 4 seats that were left. Thanks to a new seating arrangement your parents chose, one free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last 2 were on the other side of where your moms were sitting. You stayed quiet. He hung his head and scuttled past you, Lizzie, and your moms. Cove went to the chair on the opposite edge of the table and sat down. It seemed being far away is what he wanted. Your moms frowned. Now that everyone was situated, Mommy began to pass out plates.
Okay.
Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for dinner tonight. Be sure not to avoid all of the veggies.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves, except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands clamped on the top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. One dish seemed to have his eye, at least. That's pineapple chicken. Want to try some? Not really. Sorry. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Do you not like any of the food, honey?
Well,
Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Wow. Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating, then she spoke again. You should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. Unless you want to shrink. That's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. I've had some things. Just not any of this.
Oh, shoot.
Oh shoot. I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's alright, Lonnie. Maybe you'll find a new favorite today. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying the food anytime soon. You let your moms handle this. So, well, would you like some of the mashed potatoes then? Cove scrunched his face up and shook his head.
I understand.
Too bland for your taste, isn't it? I understand. Not this again. Mashed potatoes are not bland. They have flavor. They taste like potatoes and butter. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you say, love. How about Calbee ribs, Cove?
Huh?
Calbee?
You alright with that?
They're barbecued beef ribs. Do you like beef? Cove listened quietly as your moms explained the Hawaiian dishes to him. He nodded or shook his head to indicate his preferences. Slowly, his plate became populated with bits and pieces of food, while you and Lizzie worked on emptying yours. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly, he was apprehensive to eat something new, but he took a few exploratory bites.
right?
It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied, even though it wasn't exactly a glowing commendation. Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends. Oh. Mommy floundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. It seemed strange her mommy was taken aback by the news. When had they gotten along? And you didn't consider yourself to be friends with him either. As far as you were concerned, he was your neighbor, nothing else. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug.
No.
Elizabeth, don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as a weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. It's not a nice thing to say to someone, anyone. But Pam... Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sounds of clanking silverware meant that you caught the quiet words anyway. We're not friends. He said so. As parents, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves. Now less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. But Mom! No buts. We've talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. You stayed quiet and finished your meal. It was good food, and you were pretty content to just keep eating. That's the idea. Good job, Xander. Everyone else get to it. The rest of dinner passed by uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when your moms attempted to include him in conversation. And we will stop there for today, because once again, my voice is dying. I think I need to take some time to drink my tea, and hopefully not lose my voice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this episode, by all means, please leave a like, comment if you have something to say, subscribe if you have not yet, and if you would like to support me financially, please go check out my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to all of my regular videos. There will be a link down in the description. And for everyone else, I just hope to see you again in the next one.